I'm sure at this point you've heard of Lethal Company. It's a co-op horror game about scavenging at abandoned moons to sell scrap to the company. Think Phasmophobia with extraction elements. You and your crew go inside abandoned facilities to sell scrap and run away from scary, freaky monsters. Oh! The game has absolutely blown up during its first month on Steam, sitting at huge player count numbers and an incredible amount of positive reviews. But how did one humble dev go from Roblox horror legend to solo dev stardom? And how did they get the idea for Lethal Company in the first place? Before I go into the public history of this pretty prolific dev, I just want to plug the Zeeker's Patreon, where there's a lot more in-depth behind-the-scenes footage on Lethal Company going back to 2022. I'm not going to go into much info from this Patreon, but definitely check it out if you're interested. Zeeker's YouTube channel is an interesting archive of their game dev pathway. Their current first public upload is a Roblox video from May 29th, 2012. These are your typical 2012 Roblox uploads featuring skits and gameplay clips from the classic era of Roblox. Roblox had an in-game record and upload to YouTube feature that I actually remember using with my brother because we just absolutely spammed Roblox videos on the random YouTube channels all the time, but it's kind of interesting that they're still up on his main channel. The earliest Roblox creation I could find from Zeeker's was Dark Mansion, posted on April 23rd, 2012. It seems like a pretty simple early Roblox horror map, but it's also seemingly the start of Zeeker's preference for making horror games. After this, Zeeker's would release a huge span of Roblox games and projects hitting hundreds of thousands of visits each in 2014 with games like Breach, Guidance, A Lucid Dream, and a lot more. Zeeker's first big Roblox hit would be in 2015 with Lightbulb getting 2.5 million visits and Silent Dark in 2016 with 5.4 million visits. Both of these games were nominated for Best Single Player Game of 2016 for the Bloxy Awards, which is an annual Roblox awards event. It's crazy to think that a few million visits were notable at the time because Roblox today is a whole different beast where the most popular games have billions of visits and essentially trap children with mobile game-esque monetization, but that's a topic for another time. Lightbulb and Silent Dark are heralded as Roblox horror classics and are true horror game thrillers with actual story and even voice acting. These games are, of course, simple, but they showcase the creativity of Zeeker's projects and have a huge amount of effort for Roblox games from that era, which is why they stood out so much. After Silent Dark, there aren't any more Roblox releases that I could find, as Zeeker's moved on to working with Unity, releasing games on itch.io and Steam with relative success. These are single-player horror experiences and definitely start showing more and more of Zeeker's style and aesthetic. On itch.io, Zeeker's would release Welcome to the Dark Place, a text-based horror on May 14th, 2019. It steals a relatively successful first-person horror on April 3rd, 2020, getting over 1,000 reviews on Steam and a decent amount of YouTube coverage. Drive Home, a 48-hour game jam game in July of 2020. Dead Cedar, an atmospheric survival horror on November 17th of 2020. The Upturned, another big release, taking more of a comedy spin on horror on May 8th, 2021, and getting a decent amount of reviews on Steam. Now, I haven't... Hey, Ollie! It's Ollie, look at him. Now, I haven't played any of these, but watching the trailers, they showcase so much creativity and charm, and I would really like to check it out in the future. These games are also on Steam. I was just using the release dates for them on itch.io. The fact that one person made so many interesting games in their relatively short career so far is really fascinating. Now, moving a little back from the Upturned release, we can find the main inspiration for Lethal Company from a post from Zeeker's on the Phasmophobia subreddit on October 6th, 2020. Suggestion: make the walkie-talkie an item and take full advantage of voice recognition. The limited communication between players is one of the scariest things about Phasmophobia, and forcing players to choose between holding a walkie-talkie or another crucial item would add a spooky dynamic to the game. If the walkie-talkie was a physical thing, perhaps one could be shared amongst multiple players until they are forced to separate. I say this especially because me and my friends played our first several rounds without knowing about the global chat feature, and it was scarier without it. It really heightened the feeling of aloneness that you get when exploring the house by yourself. My group is actually discussing playing only with proximity chat because it adds an extra challenge. Also, imagine if the game used voice recognition to record certain voice clips from a player. This could be great psychological horror, and it's an opportunity you should not miss. So if you know anything about Lethal Company, you can see that this is easily a huge starting point for the idea of that game. Proximity chat is a huge part of Lethal Company, really adds to the immersion of the horror when you hear your friends scream in the distance knowing they're dead.
And we gonna make it. No.
While Zeekers didn't add full voice recognition to Lethal Company, there is actually something interesting here with how the monsters work in the game. Your microphone in the game is actually reacted to by the monsters, so you have certain monsters that can hear you and chase you after they detect any presence from your mic, such as the blind dogs who can't see but only go based off of sound. Creates a lot of great moments where you're talking to your friends walking back to the ship, getting ready to extract, and then all of a sudden you gotta be quiet because you're getting chased around. It adds even more because if you scream from being scared, you're gonna be found easier. I just thought that would be interesting to point out because this one Reddit post actually gives a lot of insight to how the start of Lethal Company even became. In April of 2022, Zeekers would start teasing a new release on Twitter, and on May 11th, Zeekers would officially announce Lethal Company and begin development. This was a seemingly big project for the solo developer because of the multiplayer aspect and the procedural generation of the maps, both of these being new mechanics that Zeekers hasn't used before in any of their games. He would stay pretty active on Patreon, posting lots of gameplay and dev progress, and posting a video announcement teaser on July 8th, 2022 with some very early footage of the game. More footage would be posted on Twitter showcasing the aforementioned proximity chat, which was integral to the design of the game. The development process would go on steadily from 2022 to 2023, with Zeekers posting big updates and taking a small break to work on a side project titled Take Your Wish, which was a point-and-click game released on January 28th, 2023, and an update for the Upturned on March 3rd, which just goes to show the work ethic of Zeekers. On August 1st, a full trailer would be released with a more realized image of what the game was truly meant to be. With a beta test in September and a free demo during the Steam Next Fest in October, which is when I first heard of this game, the game was getting a lot of traction and hype towards its release date. On October 23rd, 2023, Lethal Company fully released into early access and has seen astronomical amounts of success. In its first month since release, it's hit an all-time peak of 184,000 players, a truly insane count that places itself into the current top 10 games played on Steam. For a game made by a single dev, that is a massive success. Zeekers' vision for the game has been appreciated by a huge amount of people. My friends and I have been absolutely enjoying this game, and building the game around the idea of proximity chat was a genius idea. For our group, we love playing with proximity chat in games like Trouble in Terrorist Town or Modded Among Us. It always adds to the multiplayer experience and leans into immersion. Lethal Company does a great job at creating moments with all the different mechanics of the game, the procedural generation, and of course the proximity chat.
Oh, watch for the turn! Oh shit!
Get off me!
No, no.
I'm dead.
This way. You can make it. Make the jump! Jump!
Hacker!
Oh my god! That was crazy.
Something I really enjoy about this game is the sound design. While yes, some of the horror of this game relies on jump scares, there's a lot of tension built between the quiet moments and the loud ones. As you get off the ship, there is a soundtrack that slowly settles in, and when you go through the main entrance, it's just quiet. As you're looking for scrap, you get unnerved at pretty much any ambient sound that plays, and when you first hear a monster spawn nearby or start looking for you, you start shitting your pants. The placement of sound in this game really builds and releases tension in great ways. You can tell a lot of work was put into the sound of this game. There's also a good sense of urgency that's placed on you with the profit quota system. Sometimes, if you know you don't have enough loot, you have to put yourself in situations that you know are dangerous because you need to make the company happy. I've had a genuinely great time with this game so far. Multiplayer games that lean into the social aspect are just so insanely fun and hard to come by nowadays. Zeeker still has a lot planned for this game, with the early access section of the Steam page promising future updates and content. It's really insane to see a self-developed, self-published game reach 80,000 reviews on Steam, which is only a small portion of the total copies sold. So yeah, I've just been really enjoying my time with this game. I kind of wanted to go into the history of it because to hear about someone who was a Roblox developer getting a huge indie hit on Steam, I thought that was really interesting and amazing to see. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, check out my other videos, and of course, have a good day. I'll see you later. Bye.